we didn't know what we were getting into. I would say that.
Honestly, Ben, it is a joy to speak to you because this film is just so great. It's so wonderful.
Thanks.
It's funny. It's hard to watch. It's like it's got a full gambit of feelings and emotions that I carried watching it. Get,
Awesome.
how did it develop for you? Where did the heirloom come from?
Yeah, it came from a script I'd been writing for a long time about a couple that was kind of an expansion of a short film I'd made years prior called Her Friend Adam, which Grace, the actress in The Heirloom, and my partner um, acted in with me. And I was writing kind of an expansion of that short and wrote it for a few years and really kind of micromanaged it to death and just held on to trying to perfect this screenplay with such intensity I like choked all of the life out of it. But we were in pre-production for that film when the pandemic befell all of us, and it became impossible to shoot that movie. And then shortly thereafter, Grace and I adopted a rescue dog who came from the Dominican Republic. And she arrived in our apartment and shook up my whole feeling about my life. She sent a shockwave of love, honestly, throughout our home and our relationship and my heart and mind. And that love quickly turned into inspiration. And I would go to tinker on my screenplay and suddenly find myself writing little snippets. Suddenly the characters had a dog. And I was before long writing into the script little pieces of things that had happened with our dog earlier that day or something like that. And at a certain point, I realized I was way more inspired by her presence in our lives and the feelings I was having around her than I was for this script. And so I threw the screenplay out and decided we were going to make a movie reenacting what had unfolded in our relationship in the wake of adopting our dog and kept the dates that we had originally had for my long belabored screenplay and shot this improvised semi-therapeutic reenactment of what had happened in our home during lockdown with our dog.
That's incredible. I mean, first of all, I as a former dog owner, I understand what you mean. It's a bolt of lightning into the home.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but the idea of bringing your family, your relationship on screen,
Mm-hmm.
um, that's bold, man. That's really bold. What was that experience like? Bringing your. I think I read in the notes too. You even rented an apartment, brought your things
Mm-hmm.
to that
Mm-hmm.
space. What was that like? That must have been nuts.
It was surreal. It was surreal. I felt enabled to do it, particularly because my partner happens to be an actor who I'd worked with on multiple other films. My film, she's a filmmaker as well, and we'd acted together in her stuff. So it felt kind of possible to do that. But we didn't know what we were getting into. I would say that. I mean, we we expected that the membrane between our life and the film we were making about it would only be permeable in one direction. We
Mm.
expected we could take from our life for the film, and that would be the only direction through which that membrane could be penetrated. But it turned out that it went both ways. So at a certain point, our relationship became very profoundly influenced by what making a movie about it was doing to it. And by the time that we were at the end of the shoot, we were in way deeper than we had anticipated being going into the project. And we were kind of tangling with both our lives, our relationship, and the movie about it at the same time.
Yeah, that's incredible because that's a gift to the film. Like I mean, obviously, you said it was improvised. You have this relationship, but it just feels authentic from start to finish. It feels very
Oh,
honest.
awesome.
Was there anything in particular, you can answer this however you want, but that you learned about yourself in the process of making this film?
Yeah, I mean it was punishing to watch all of the footage because I was seeing myself kind of through a different lens, seeing myself from the outside a little bit. It's funny because we a lot like there's a scene at the beginning of the movie where we're having an argument about whether to get a dog.
Mhm.
And that was a recreation of the real argument we had had many, 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 many times on that topic. And Grace always described it in post production as being very surreal to look at the material because her experience was in real life, she would be on the other side of the conversation with me, and I would be totally convinced of my own oppositional perspective. But then watching the movie, she was seeing me like self-satirize the neuroticism and manipulation that I would bring to those disagreements and fights. And it was very surreal to her to see, like, wait a minute, when we were having that argument, was Ben like metacognitively aware that he was being manipulative or neurotic or controlling
Gosh.
in the conversation? And I had that experience as well, watching the footage, seeing really how controlling I had been behaving, really because of an underlying fear and insecurity about my floundering screenplay and all of this stuff. It was like seeing the underbelly of myself in 4K for months upon months, editing the film. So I feel like there's a part of me that got murdered by the cringe of having to watch it for so long in post production.
That hearing you talk, it just sounds like you're watching game footage, right? And I've been married for 20 years now, and I can't imagine watching those things play out and be like, oh, that's what I look like. Oh, that.
Yeah, that's a really funny way to put it. Yeah, watching game footage and seeing like, oh my God, I'm stealing the ball. I'm cheating. I'm cheating in the
That's
game.
it.
Yeah,
Flag on the play right there. That's what.
exactly.
And one of the things I thought well, let's going further with that a little bit there. One of the things that I thought was really interesting especially in the first half of the film, there's this conversation about being a pack leader.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if in your mind how that pack leader mindset can affect a relationship positively or negatively.
Yeah, I mean, it was for me like in the days leading up to getting our dog, when we knew that we were going to be adopting her, but before she arrived, I started listening to those audiobooks, how to deal with the dog in the first week that they're in your home. And this like pack leader ideology that, you need to be a calm leader of the pack, kind of calm dominance. What do they call calm assertive is like the phrase of one of those big books. And it was like finding a new religion. It was like, oh my God, I can pour all of my neuroticism into this set of rules. Perfect. And maybe that ideology has some validity. I don't know. For a regular dog that you get from a breeder, I don't know. But certainly for an ultra vulnerable, trembling rescue dog, um, being like an unmovable stoic was not really the best method, and the much more tender sweetness that Grace brought to our dog turned out to be the better bid for our dog's trust and loyalty. Yeah.
Now, I mean, since Grace is in the film with you, was that Millie? Uh,
So the dog in the movie is an actor dog. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I like to say actually, I mean, our real life dog is named Dilly, and in the movie the dog's name is Millie, and that's a good microcosm for the ratio of reality and fiction in the movie. We changed a consonant, so to speak, across the whole translation from real life to the film.
I love that. I wanted to ask you too about heirlooms. I mean, this idea
Yeah.
that the film will be an heirloom of this beautiful moment in time. Um, I mean, we were talking about it before. I just came back from vacation. I took my vacation videos, and
Yeah.
there's something about preserving those moments, but can they also be a hindrance in your mind as well?
The heirlooms.
Heirlooms, yeah.
That's a good question. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe they can be. I mean, this film as an heirloom, my sound mixer, James Bastable, was joking about it with me when we were mixing the film. He was like, "Yeah, an heirloom. Your grandkids are gonna look back at this and think, ah, grandma and grandpa were so fucked up." And because it's not exactly an heirloom of everything being peachy keen. uh, but I'm really attracted to that idea. I mentioned I have seven older siblings, and every Christmas I choose a different sibling and I make a custom Christmas ornament that depicts a story from our childhood that kind of defines the lore of that sibling in our collective family memory. And for some reason, I'm really compulsed towards, yeah, heirlooms, trying to create these moments that capture what I love about the people in my life and the experiences we've shared.
I will say this too, again, with we do our vacation videos, and every now and then, if the kids have the camera, you can hear mom and dad in the background
Yeah.
having one of those conversations. And it's like, oh, we got that on film, did we?
Yeah, that's the real picture.
There it is right there. Yeah, yeah. I mean,
Yeah,
it's like we live in an Instagram world where everything's going to be perfect, but behind the scenes.
exactly. Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
One of the other things too, I think is so interesting about this film, and of course this is how it actually happened too, but the setting of the lockdown.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if in your mind, if there are aspects of that experience, that collective experience we went through, that we don't talk about enough, because this is a window into the world of it's just us.
Hmm. 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 It's a good question. Yeah, I mean, I think it was a very challenging time for a lot of couples. No matter how much you love your partner, it was such a lonely time that you're confronted with everything in your relationship, every nook and cranny of your relationship. I think it also your partner can become a bit of a mirror to yourself when you're the only two people seeing each other for weeks and months upon a time. And I don't know if there's a particular detail in there that we don't talk enough, but certainly the impact on relationships, I think, was profound for a lot of people. And I hope that couples who see the movie feel some resonance with it.
Yeah, as I was saying, which actually is interesting because again, you lived it, then you
Hmm.
started shooting it, and then it affected the way you were living, but it was still all sort of brought together, and you had that experience to draw from.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, because
Hmm.
I think about that with the lockdown. I think of how much it caused us to just sort of sit with one another
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
a space, and even if you love one another, it can just cause so much tension at that time.
Yeah, and there was just so much social alienation in that time as well. Like there was so much alienation and so much mistrust and yeah, it was a really deeply lonely time for a lot of people. Yeah, and definitely for myself as well. Even though I had a loving partner and a dog, I mean, yeah, I was still processing that experience, though I'm very happy to have moved on from it. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
Honestly, Ben, the film is just wonderful. It's such a joy.
Thank you so much.
Absolutely. What do you hope audiences take away from the heirloom?
I hope they have fun laughing. I hope that they get some good laughs out of it. And I don't know. I mean, I just hope it touches them. I hope that they laugh. I hope that they feel from the same reservoir. We just tried to make an honest gesture with this movie and put it out there and put it out there vulnerably. And I'm hoping that it'll speak to some of the experiences that people had in private during that strange and lonely time.
It's that vulnerability I think that makes the film special, is because there's a genuine sense that this could be anybody.
Mhm. Mhm.
Even though it's got this sort of meta quality, it really is. honest, and I appreciate that. Thank you so much, Ben. Honestly,
Thank you.
um,
Yeah, I really enjoyed talking with you, and thank you so much for having me.
absolutely, absolutely. Hopefully, we'll speak again.
Hope so.
Have a great
Okay.
day.
You too. Bye.
Thanks, Ben.